iPad. But I want to know that! You can't have the iPad.
Parents don't realize how addicting iPads are when they give them to their children, and we're seeing it in this young child, unfortunately, right now. And there's a lot to break down in this situation. Like, one, the child can't regulate their emotions without having their iPad. They can't find sensory input from their environment without their iPad. They're in a fight, flight, or freeze mode because they don't have access to their preferred item, and they're acting as if they cannot operate in life without their preferred item, which is very similar to signs of addiction. When you don't have your preferred choice presented, you begin to act like this. And screen time is addicting. Research will show it. Additionally, there's parentification going on. So we have the older siblings parenting and following and having the kid hold accountability when that should be the parent's responsibility. Why do you have kids if you're not going to parent your kids? Like, honestly. Dude, be so for real.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
I've been seeing a lot of teachers on here talk about how they can tell in their classrooms who the iPad kids are because they're inattentive, they have a lot of problems with focusing, and I just want to take it one step further and tell you that that's not only going to be a problem with attention later in life, but also personality as a whole. You're going to raise an apathetic child if you are a chronic iPad kid, and that's because in developmental psychology and cognitive neuroscience, we have this term called theory of mind, and that's a developmental necessity when you're a child that allows you to understand how you interact with your environment and how it interacts back with you. If you're stuck in front of an iPad for your whole adolescence, there is no way that you are going to develop your place in the world and your interactions with other people, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And at the end of the day, if you don't develop it, it leads to different psychiatric disorders and also just a complete lack of empathy.
I used to think iPad kids weren't actually a concern. Until last night. I was at this Italian restaurant with two of my friends when this family of 6 walks into the door with the most rambunctious kids. They're just screaming and crying the whole time. And that family gets sat right next to our table. And honestly, at first, I didn't think anything of it. But it was just like kids being kids, and the parents would eventually get a handle on it. So I kind of ignored it at the beginning. But bro, these kids just kept crying and screaming, and it seemed like it was getting louder. When I tell you they were loud, the waiter actually told the parents that a table from across the restaurant complained about the noise. After the parents hear about the complaints, the mom pulls out this bionic looking backpack, and she opens it up and takes out 3 iPads for the 3 kids. What's even crazier is, as the mom was getting the iPads out, one of the kids starts going, skibbity bum bum, yes, yes, yes. The other 2 kids follow along as if it was like a ritual chant as the iPads come out of the backpack. You can imagine just how annoying it was to hear 3 children try to harmonize skibbity toilet. This is where it starts getting a lot more dystopian, in my opinion. The mom has to unplug all of the iPads from her backpack because I guess it's a charging backpack that she takes everywhere with her. Then hands the iPads over to what I think is a nanny because she doesn't look like she's related to any of the family members. And all she's doing is talking to the kids and trying to calm them down. The nanny then hands out all of the iPads to the kids. I guess the parents didn't even want to seem like they were raising these children. Honestly, it did calm them down for a good 10 minutes, but after 10 minutes, one of the little rats of kids starts playing the skibbity toilet YouTube video on full volume. And you'd think the parents would reprimand the kid for that. But no, the parents tell the nanny to give the kid headphones so he can listen to it on his own. Bro! So the parents order all the food. About 15 minutes later, it all comes. So the whole family gets their dinner, but as soon as the plate was placed in front of the kid with headphones, he's just like, I don't want this. I won't eat this. And the nanny tells him, you gotta eat your food to become big and strong. And he's just like, I wanted chicken nuggets. We are at a nice restaurant. Me and my friends are just sitting there at the table, shocked at what we are hearing. So the nanny tells the parents the kid won't eat his food and he wants chicken nuggets. But then the dad interjects and he's just like, son, eat your food. This rat starts crying. He breaks the sound barrier yet again. Parents are just like, he's got his iPad. What are we gonna do? Kid just continues to cry. So the parents tell the nanny to get this kid chicken nuggets from the restaurant next door. At this point, you should have left. You shouldn't have even come here in the first place. And the nanny is just like, I don't know if that's appropriate. The dad's just like, here. And they give her money to go get chicken nuggets from the place next door. Nanny goes over there, and 10 minutes later, she comes back with a takeout box of chicken nuggets for this kid. It's just wrong on so many levels. They give it to this child, and he won't even eat the friggin' chicken nuggets. My friends and I were mad. We were getting red at our seats. But yeah, we left after that. I'm a little scared for the future when these kids grow up.
I literally witnessed someone creating an iPhone iPad baby right in front of me. I was at T-Mobile getting a new screen protector. I'm just sitting there chit-chatting with the guy while he does it. This mom and her daughter walk in. She has to be like 6, 7 years old, right? And the other lady walks over and she's like, "Hi, what can I do for you today?" And the lady goes, "Oh, I'm just here to get my daughter a new phone." I'm sitting here thinking that, oh, she's gonna get her like a flip phone or something. I mean, I didn't even have one of those until I was 12. I don't know. Anyways, she goes, "Yeah, like, what are you looking at? Like, what are you thinking of getting?" And she goes, "Oh, whatever the newest iPhone you have is. I don't remember what the last one she had was. She dropped it and she broke it." You could tell even the lady was taken aback. She was like, "Oh, okay." And then she turns to her daughter and she goes, "Is that okay, sweetheart?" And she was like, "Yes, mommy." And then the woman asked the worker, she's like, "Well, what colors do you have in stock? Like, I think we want to get matching ones." And the lady was like, "We only have blue and black right now." And then the little girl cuts her off and she goes, "No, mommy." Like, and she's like on the other side of the store at this point, like messing with the displays and stuff. She goes, "No, mommy, I need a pink one." And she goes, "All right, honey, we'll get you a pink one." And like looks at the lady, the worker, and the worker's like, "I'll check. Let me see if I have any more. I might have one left." I left like right after that, but oh my God, I feel so bad for that poor T-Mobile worker. I'm sure they deal with stuff like this all the time, but I can't believe I witnessed that.
You know how everyone talks about how awful iPad kids were? So I was a first generation iPad kid. When I was around 10 or 11, my mom won a first generation iPad at a work raffle. So she brought it home and she knew she wasn't going to use it for herself, so she let us play with it. I don't know what it was about specifically the iPad, but it made us feral. I have 2 siblings. I'm the middle sibling. My siblings are 2 years apart from me. We were all really close in age. And let me tell you the fights we would have over this thing. I don't know what it was about it. Maybe it was because it had apps. It was so easy to carry around. Maybe it's because it ran faster than any other electronics we had in the house. But we would be like screaming, like yanking each other's hair out. We were addicted to it. We were addicted. One time there was a fight between me and my siblings, and at first my mom was gonna give me and my younger sibling a different punishment, but then my older sibling was like, "How about no iPad?" because they wanted the iPad, and my mom agreed and made us lose our goddamn minds. Like I said, there were other electronics in the house. Like, we used the TV regularly. My mom had a laptop. We had DS's. But it was just something about the goddamn iPad. Then one day, because my parents are divorced, we leave for a week and then come back to her house next week, and the iPad is just gone. So, like, me and my siblings spend time looking for it, and my mom's just, like, texting on her phone, saying nothing. So then after looking literally everywhere for it, like, I ask her, "Where did it go?" And she just goes, "I don't know." And I think to this day, she sold it or gave it away to someone because she saw how fucking feral it made us and decided that it wasn't worth whatever benefit it could give us because it made our behavior so bad.
iPad kids. Guys, we have to talk about this. This has been a huge issue in parenting. And I have seen the effects that electronics, especially iPads, have on children. It's not a good thing. I have nieces and nephews who actually have iPads and grew up using iPads and phones at a really young age. And guys, it has really not helped them whatsoever. And it will continue to hurt their development as children.
I think y'all are going a little too hard on the iPad kids, okay? I think you're giving them a hard time because you don't understand the struggle. I myself, at the ripe old age of 38 years old, have recently become an iPad kid. I'm struggling to take my hair out right now because I only have the use of one good arm because I have sustained an iPad kid injury, and I'm going to tell you about it. Lately, when I go to bed, I have been playing Stardew Valley, okay, on my iPad, like a little iPad baby, okay? And when I play on my iPad, I'm sitting in bed and my knees are up, my iPad's right here, it's propped up. This is my left hand because I'm left-handed. I use my pen to go about my farming, okay? And maybe I have my little creeper hand here for a little bit too long. Started a couple days ago, I woke up like a gremlin. I couldn't move, I couldn't fully extend my arm. So now I've got a pain in this area. I can't fully show you because I don't have full use of my arm right now because I turned into an iPad kid as a senior citizen. So go easy on the iPad kids. You don't understand the struggles. You don't know what they're dealing with all the time. I can only imagine the injuries they get from just unlimited use all the time. It's got to be crippling.
So I think iPad babies or whatever, we're just training our kids to not pay attention to what's going on even more than we already are. But iPad adults are something crazy. I live in New York fucking City. Motherfuckers will watch a show on their phone while they're walking down the sidewalk. And that is diabolical. You know that guy that was over here punching bitches? We need to punch people who watch shows while walking down the fucking street. Cause what the fuck are you doing? I want to rob you. Parts of me just want to fucking vaccine them motherfuckers because listen, you're not paying attention to your surroundings. If you need to be on your phone, guess what? Go to the fucking side. Go to the fucking side. Stop for a second. Go to the side. Gather yourself. Then re-enter walking. Okay? The fact that you're gonna stop in the middle of a sidewalk is diabolical. And then the fact that you're going to watch a show while walking? We have to stop.
In all of the discussions we've had on this app about raising iPad kids, I have still yet to have one single person give me a good excuse as to why are we only using iPads to entertain and preoccupy our children. I think we can all agree that parenting is so hard in 2023. We all deserve a break. We're all working long hours. Some of us are working 2 or 3 jobs, having a really hard time putting food on the table and paying rent. Nobody is denying that. But why is it that we are only using iPads to do that? Why are we acting as if that is the only thing that is available to us? I think it's all very clear to us as teachers, as education professionals, as parents, that kids who solely use iPads and smart devices are very limited in how they're able to use their creativity, their social interactions with other kids, the way that they learn in school. So many ways in which they interact with other people and move about their world are affected negatively if that is the only thing that they use in their life to entertain themselves. And what's most surprising to me is that so many parents who grew up without iPads, without iPhones, without smart devices, act as if they have no clue what to pull out if they take the iPad away. I have made you a list of things in 4 different categories that your kid can use to entertain themselves. And I can already predict some of the feedback that I'm gonna get from this. Toys are too expensive. We can't afford to keep buying new things. I don't wanna have to deal with the mess. I don't wanna have to supervise my child because I'm already too tired and I have chores to do around the house. So all of these things not only can be self-sustaining and kids can do them on their own without supervision for the most part, but you can also do them indoors. You don't have to have a yard. You don't have to have access to an outside third space. And for most of these activities, you do not have to continue to keep buying new things. Once you invest in a few of these different items, your kid can stay entertained with them multiple uses, several years of their childhood. The 4 categories are toys and entertainment, arts and crafts, educational and hobby related tasks, and tech devices that are alternatives to iPads. Please keep in mind that some of these are free and some of these do cost money, but we all know that iPads cost a lot of money, so it's buy this one thing or buy multiple things. It's still going to come out of your pocket, but there are free options on these lists. And also these toys, most of them can be done individually. That means that the kid does not require a sibling or a friend to be around to do these activities with. So for toys and entertainment, I have puzzles and solo games, building toys like Legos, etc., Matchbox cars and mini tracks, fort kits or blanket forts, fake food and kitchens, dolls and action figures, and just just simply playing pretend. You have nothing else to do, and all you have is your brain and your environment around you. For educational and hobbies, I have solo reading. If you build a library for your kid and leave them to their own devices, they will pick up a book and read. Musical instruments, and these are the ones that I recommend as a music teacher that are not very expensive and are the least obnoxious for you as a parent that's needing quiet time. Cheap pianos and keyboards. You can get a very cheap 88 key keyboard off of Amazon for less than $100. A Spectrum, which is basically like a ring that comes with a color keyboard that they can use to make different pitches based on the color. A melodica, this is probably the most obnoxious one. Digital drum pads and beat makers. The piano and digital drum pad and beat maker can all be used with headphones, so you don't even have to hear a single note that they're playing. Moving on to the next thing, listen to music. We all sat around and listened to music when we were a kid. Let them listen to music. Kids engineering kits, kids chem sets, fairy gardens, journal or diary, ones that you don't check yourself, coding kits, and there's so many other things. Arts and crafts, coloring books, paint by sticker, how to draw books or journals or like tutorials for drawing and sketching, spirograph kits, easels that are dry erase, pencil pad, or finger paints. If you don't want to deal with the mess, you don't have to use it. Scratch paper art, that's like the black stuff where you scratch it off and there's rainbow underneath. And polymer clay sets. I think polymer clay is less messy than Play-Doh, and it's for older kids that maybe want to do some sculpting and art. Now, if you're someone that's like, I want my kid plugged in, we're a digital family, they're gonna get bored, I'm gonna get bored if they don't have something to do that has tech involved. Here are your options. A Nook Glow Light, which is an e-reader that does not have internet browsing capability or apps that you can download. It is simply for e-reading, and this is my highest rated one on this list to get them to read, and it's a very good alternative to an iPad or a smart device. A Leapfrog. This is one that people say time and time again in my comment section. I know that they still exist. I know that there are different versions out there, but for learning, it is such a great tool, and kids love it, especially young kids. Vintage game consoles. This is so obvious, it hurts. NES, N64, Game Boys, etc. So much fun, so simple, no internet access, not as addictive as Roblox or Fortnite or any of those other games. And then we can get into the realm of PC games, educational games. Let them use the family desktop. Do free ed games. There are so many free educational game websites where you can go on, you don't have to pay a single penny, and there are unlimited options for them. There are paid games too that are really popular and really successful for learning and literacy, like Jumpstart. There's games like Zubinis. There's typing instruction games so they can learn how to use a keyboard. And then there's stuff like Zoo 3D, which is like digital animation games and learning guides and coding games. There are vintage PC games, and there are websites like My Abandonware and Classic Reload where you can actually go on and find some of these vintage games like The Island of Dr. Brain and Carmen Sandiego. They're a little bit tricky to use, but I think part of the appeal is getting kids to use something that they're not used to and exploring tech that they're not used to. If you are at your wit's end and you need to know that they're sitting in front of a screen and staying in one place, you can always put on a low stimulation TV show. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Daniel Tiger, Curious George, Peppa Pig, The Great British Bake Show, Sesame Street, Reading Rainbow, Little Bear, Out of the Box. This is just a few that we grew up with that are still amazing options for your kid. And I'm saying this not to shame you. This list took 10 minutes to figure out. It took 10 minutes to sit down and make a list of items that I could use for my child that does not involve an iPad. And if worse comes to worse, it is not a crime or neglect to let your child be bored. It will get them to use their brain and explore the world around them.
How am I supposed to raise a no iPad kid if I'm an iPad kid myself? I can't even clean my house without having a little show on. Literally every time I do something, cooking, cleaning, anything that isn't like super interactive, I need a show on. He's almost 2, and I've never introduced a tablet or an iPad to him. All he really watches is Bluey. And I've experienced no behavioral changes with that, so I'm comfortable with that. However, if I need my little show on, how can I expect him not to? I'm not gonna give him an iPad, but this shit is hard.
As for me, I got my very first phone. It was my sister's old used phone, and it was a slide phone. And guys, it was so small. It was literally tiny. Like this size right here, it was so small, guys. And I only had a laptop at the age of around 15 years old. Other than that, we were not allowed to have phones or any other things. We just were not allowed. And guys, it has actually helped us. It has helped us a lot. And now we have a lot more social skills than this generation. When I was younger, we were always playing games outside. We were always outside. We spent literally about, I'd say, at least 4 to 6 hours outside in the sun, playing with friends and having a bunch of fun. We were literally always outside. But kids these days, they are inside on their pads and not playing with other kids outside. And it will literally negatively affect them.
Y'all are saying that Gen Z is making fun of millennials for raising iPad kids, right? I don't care if I'm a millennial teacher or not. I have to join in with Gen Z here and saying that y'all are raising some kids that are extremely hard to deal with. Is it really that we're being bullied by Gen Z, like they're bullying us about mom jeans? Or is it that from a third party perspective, we're being called out for some poor parenting choices and we just don't want to hear it? We always like to clown on boomers for not having any emotional capacity to take criticism because of their parenting choices, but y'all need to step back and realize that you're doing the exact same thing. I'm a millennial teacher that has taught millennials, Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha, and I can tell you that screen time and the lack of restrictions around screen time has 100% affected their academic performance, the way that they function in the classroom, and their social skills. A lot of these millennial responses to Gen Z calling out them raising iPad kids is them saying, well, you're not a parent yet. You wouldn't understand until you're in that situation. But y'all do realize that Gen Z are old enough to be having kids, right? They're old enough to be parenting, and they're seeing what they're seeing out in public. They're seeing how these kids are acting in the classroom. They're seeing how they're acting out on the streets, and they know that they don't want to have anything to do with that they're going to make different choices around screen time and iPads. And y'all are mad about it. I think I have a unique perspective because not only have I over a decade of experience in the classroom teaching hundreds of other people's kids and seeing the direct effects of screen time and addiction to screen time, but I'm also somebody who has gone all that time without having a child of their own and now is entering into parenthood at the tail end of that. And I can tell you that I'm making the decision that a lot of Gen Z parents are doing now. I'm not giving my kid unlimited access to screens because I know that it's going to stunt their social growth and it's going to stunt their academic performance. These kiddos have an addiction to screen time, and y'all have an addiction to screen time just as much as them because you know that them not having a screen in front of their face makes it infinitely more challenging to parent them at home and out in public. A lot of people talking about how and why they give their kid a screen out in public is not necessarily because they're making it an easier time on the kid, but they're making it an easier time on the adults around them. You're giving your kid an iPad at the restaurant because you don't want to disrupt anybody else's experience. You want to have a nice dinner and have adult conversation. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with what's best for the kid. That has everything to do with what's best for the adults around them. And what's worse is because of the lack of awareness around this issue and the fact that you don't want to take ownership that it's getting out of hand, is that you're sending them to school and pawning off that addiction on teachers. Because when we ask them to sit there and listen to instructions or complete an activity that doesn't have to do with technology, we can't get it done with them. And they are having complete meltdowns because they don't know how to function without having a screen in their hand. You're pawning that issue off on us. I know it's difficult to admit when you've made a mistake as a parent, but I think the least productive thing you can have happen in this conversation is to point your finger at somebody and say, you're not a parent and you never will understand until you are one. But it doesn't take a genius to realize that addiction to screens stunts you socially, emotionally, and mentally, because it happens to us as adults too. We've seen it since COVID. We spend more time in front of screens. We're all having more issues socially and emotionally. The only difference between us and our children is we have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, and they don't. It is always going to be easier to put a kid in front of a screen and give them something overstimulating to watch and overstimulating to do. But it's not going to help them in the long run. And if you sat in a classroom for just one day, 1 week, with 30 other kids from other parents and other households, you would see the correlation. But when teachers are trying to tell you that the issue is there right in front of your face, most of y'all do not want to hear it. Addiction to technology in a lot of ways is so similar to addiction to substances. When you withdraw that substance, they become aggressive, they become violent, they become restless. They don't have the capacity to think in the same way that they would without the addiction. They don't have the capacity to concentrate. They don't have the capacity to socialize the same way. And as the parent of an addict, all you're doing is enabling them. Demonizing all technology is not the solution to this problem, but whether you like it or not, Gen Z is correct about this. And if they decide not to raise their child in front of a screen, they're probably going to be better off for it.
I have this theory that in the coming decades, we're going to see an increasing amount of things like substance abuse and eating disorders because of iPads. I love children. I have been around children and teaching children for probably about 7 to 8 plus years now. And so I know and I feel, because of what I've seen, heard, and watched, that this is a possibility. There are 2 different ways to use an iPad. There is the way in which you use it as a reward. Maybe you're traveling a long distance, or your kids did something really good during the week, or you only use them on a Friday. Then there are the ways in which you use it to numb an emotion. So your child is screaming or crying, or they're having a really big feeling, and you don't want to deal with it. So you hand them the iPad in order to stop it. Stop whatever they're doing, whether it's in public, whether it's at home. You just need it to be silent, and so you give them the iPad. What you're teaching your child is to numb whatever they are currently going through with something on the outside of them, something in the material world. And when you give them that, you are showing them that that emotion can be taken care of by something else, their iPad. What does the iPad do? It quiets them down, and it almost numbs the emotion that they're supposed to be feeling or regulating. What do we do as adults when we have big emotions, when big things are happening to us, and we just don't want to do it, we don't want to deal with it? You see substance abuse, like alcohol, drugs, and then you also can see eating disorders, right? You're numbing the emotion with food. I know that iPads are beneficial, and they're great. I believe they are, but they have to be used the right way, because we want to raise emotionally regulated children. We don't want to put children who will become adults into the world who have to look without on the outside of them to fix their problems. Just a theory, though.
Yo, I'm on here searching how to remove a tablet from your kid. Like, my baby just turned 5 August 16th, and she's starting kindergarten on September 5th. And she's addicted to the iPad. Y'all, it's real bad. I need y'all to see this. I need y'all to see how addicted she is. She'll have her iPad, my other phone, on the same channel. And she memorized certain things that she like. Like now she's into Talking Tom and Talking Angela. Watch this.
It's your girl, Talking Angela. I have a brand new game, and my Talking Angela too. And you have to find your words if you want. And you have anything to say.
And y'all, please don't judge me, but I really used to use the iPad as a little babysitter, especially when I need a mommy break, just a little self-care moment, for sure. And then when COVID hit and we was quarantined, and we was in the house for damn near a year, that's when she really was like using it a lot. Now she do play with her toys, like she's really into her stuffed animals, and she'll take a break from it and she'll go play with her toys or go do something else. But for the most part, like, she's obsessed. She want my phone, she want her iPad. It's bad, and please don't judge me. But if any of y'all mothers out there, parents, whoever, if any of y'all are experienced this or have experienced a kid with iPad withdrawal, please provide me with what y'all did and any tips. I'll take any tips, anything. I need to figure this out because she started kindergarten next week on the 5th, and I'm just like nervous. Like, even though she was in daycare, but it was like more like a preschool setting, so I didn't let her take her iPad to school, which she did fine for the 8 hours. But immediately when she get in my car, Mommy, where's my iPad? Or Mommy, can I have the phone? Like, oh God, I am extremely nervous. Please don't judge me, y'all. Please, I need your help.
There's no such thing as an iPad kid. My daughter uses an iPad every single day. Because outside of school, gymnastics, and jujitsu, She needs some time to just escape it all, to have some fun time. Yesterday I got into this like hour-long argument with my sister-in-law. She was like, I don't want to have a kid because I don't want to be raising no iPad kid. Those type of kids are raised by the iPad. In restaurants, when your kid is crying and you don't know how to control them, they just force feed them the iPad. Here, calm down, I don't want to deal with it. On the other hand, I would get up with my 1-year-old. We're walking around. She's hi to everybody. She just wants to say, she's bored. She wants to go talk to people. I would take the salt and pepper shakers, lay napkins on the table, and they would just sit there doing this until the food came out, just stimulating their little minds. I would ask for extra straws. We would count, tear them apart, build things. I can't stand the term iPad kid, because anytime you tell a new parent, oh, you don't want to have an iPad kid, automatically they go to, well, I'll never let my kid touch an iPad. No, don't let your kid be raised by the iPad. My kid is a very well-trained student. She's really good at jiu-jitsu. She does gymnastics. She is a great kid. Like, my little kid's amazing. But she enjoys that fucking iPad from time to time. I don't have to limit screen time, set timers, anything. She puts it down to go play with her Play-Doh or color or draw whenever she wants to.
I'm always so shocked when I see Gen Z parents raising iPad kids, because it's like, girl, gender neutral. You know what the internet does. Like, with millennials, it's still bad, but you could kind of give them a pass a little bit, because it's like, okay, at least they weren't actually raised on this and they don't know like what was really going down, like how that really affects children. But if you're Gen Z, you know, like, we were all getting groomed on Omegle and Kick together. Okay, like what are you doing raising your child like that? You know, and I know a lot of us don't have kids at this point yet, but I also just think it's like, I would have just assumed that all of us were on the same page about that. Like, whenever I do have kids, which is not going to be for a long while, they're not allowed to have iPads and screens and all of that. I don't even know what the technology is going to be looking like, but whatever it is, they can't have it. I'm sorry, you're not allowed to have it. Because that's the thing, I wasn't even that bad. Like, my family was pretty strict about like my access to the internet and devices and stuff, and I still got groomed. Like, I still was in places that I shouldn't have been, you know? So I'm like, you know, I didn't even have a phone for a long time, and I found a way, you know, there was some way somehow. So I'm like, I know I'm not going to be able to prevent it entirely, obviously, but I'm going to try as much as possible. And I'm like, whatever Black Mirror shit they've got going on in 2045, whatever, like, no, you can't have it. You can't have it. I'm sorry. Like, I'm really going to try to prevent that. So when I see people with kids nowadays and they're raising iPad babies and they're like 25, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why would you repeat that cycle? Come on now.
A few years ago, my brother gave his son a phone, and his son just turned 7 years old. And I told him he does not need a phone. He is 7 years old. He is not old enough for a phone. He is not responsible enough for a phone. Do not give him a phone. And I had a huge issue with that. Like, kids should really only have a phone or only need a phone around the age of like 14 years old. Anything earlier than that is crazy to me. Kids really do not need phones, bro. They should be outside playing like literally all day. They should hardly be indoors.
I commend all parents that are going out of their way to not raise iPad children. I know for a fact it can't be easy at all times, but the payoff is just so worth it. I was a babysitter for like last year for a while, and I'm gonna tell you about the worst case of iPad kid syndrome I've ever seen in my life, to the point where I felt bad for the child, because as a result of his parents' decisions to not really ever keep him from his iPad, it was gonna affect him like socially in the future. I know for a fact it's gonna make it difficult for him to like make friends and things like that, because I already saw it. So boom, this family, I was babysitting for them. Mind you, they ran through nannies and babysitters all the time because of this one little boy. They had 2 other children, but it was just one little boy that he was so bad. When he would have fits, whenever you take his iPad, whenever you tell him no, anything like that, he immediately, whatever he could pick up, he's throwing it. It doesn't matter if he's inside or outside. He's throwing vases. He's breaking things at all times. He's getting knives. Like, he's 4 or 5 years old at this time. At this point, I called the mom. And the first time it happened while he was outside, and he was literally throwing things at the house. Like, I literally couldn't even let him inside. I said, yo, he's like, let me inside. I said, I can't let you inside. You're literally breaking things, right? You're literally throwing vases at the window. You have to break a window. I called the mom. She's like, oh my God. Whenever she started apologizing to me immediately, I said, oh, you know about this. I was like, oh my gosh, you know about this. You knew about this, and you never said anything. Okay, cool. That was the first time we let that slide. Okay, she tipped me a little bit extra. I just mind my business. I kept that in mind for the next time. I take this in one individual
this kid, mind you, his behavioral issues are so bad. Like, he literally will not listen to anybody. He needs his iPad 24/7. That in school, he is a completely regular functioning child, right? He is a regular child. He has no special needs thing. But since his behavioral issues are so bad, he has to be put into a special needs class. He is the only child in his class that can talk. So every other child in the class is like actually special needs. One day in class, he couldn't get his iPad. He starts throwing chairs at the teachers. He's getting threatened to be removed from school. I take him out on this one day. Instead of ever doing anything, they always just take him to go do something. So instead of punishing him or any discipline, I understand if you don't want to hit your kid, that's cool. But like, there's never any discipline. And it was such a bad, so it was not only not only was an iPad kid, but like whenever he wanted his iPad, no matter what, they gave it to him instead of dealing with the issue. Boom. And mind you, they're always hiring nannies and babysitters so they don't have to deal with it themselves. That's a big point. So he gets kicked out of school one day. He has to leave early. Like, okay, can you please go to pick him up and take him to Wonder Wild, which is like this big play set in Houston. Okay, we go to Wonder Wild. He said, can I bring my iPad inside? At this point, I know for a fact that this is his thing. So it's like, yeah, okay, go crazy. Like, this is what your mom does. Yeah, bring your iPad inside. He is the only child at this. It's a play set. He is the only child with his iPad. That's the only way he can make friends. Like, he'll bring his iPad over, like, do you want to play on my iPad? Like, hey, like, do you want to look at my iPad? And then he's sitting there, he's on his iPad the whole time. He cannot socialize. He does not know how to make friends without his iPad. It was so sad to see, because like, I'm like, he's only 5 now, but these issues are going to progress to the point where he's going to be in high school, and this is going to just be a whole issue that they just didn't deal with. One day, he takes his iPad out of the case, throws it on the ground, cracks it, breaks it. In one of his fits. Throws it on the ground, cracks it, breaks it. He has 2 iPads. So while that one's getting fixed, mind you, they took it to get fixed that same day. No discipline, no punishment, nothing, no time without it, because he has another iPad. So they bring the other iPad while he's waiting on this other one to get fixed. Then they get the other one fixed. He's back to it. Nothing changes. I had to stop seeing them. I said, yeah, this isn't even worth it. It's so crazy to see, but like the social, and I feel like that's like the most extreme case of what it can be like. I feel like if you continue to just always let your child always be on the iPad, no matter what, anytime you don't feel like dealing with them, you don't feel like playing with them, and you just give them the iPad, like, eventually it gets just so out of hand. I literally feel for him, because like, I know for a fact when he gets to high school, he's either gonna have to be homeschooled, and then if he's homeschooled, that's just another way they're bandaging over the problem. He's gonna go into adulthood with these problems if no one eventually starts to tell him, like, this is how you make friends, this is how you socialize, this is how you do this and third. So I know the iPad seems like a great little option, and I'm just a babysitter, and I've dealt with multiple children that have iPad like dependency, like they don't do anything but sit and watch on their iPad. And looking at it, I remember myself as a kid, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I did not grow up in these times. But it's literally sad. Like, it's actually sad. They don't want to do anything else. So I commend all the parents that are just it's like finding a way to limit the screen time and make sure your child still like knows how to play and use their imagination and be creative. I know it can't be easy. I don't have any kids of my own, so I don't understand it yet, but I commend you, and I'm telling you, it's so worth it. As someone who has like watched multiple different children and seen the iPad kid syndrome in different ways, and every single time you see it like come to fruition, come to light, it always is going to be social issues and disciplinary issues all the time. So commend you, shout out to you, keep trying, keep pushing. Mwah.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.